Line starts here. There you go.
Okay, when you wave her hands, that's like such a tight game of life. Walang pambayad mga yan.
Hindi tayo pinicture. Nagmamadali din siguro sila kaya sinabihan siguro din na huwag ng picture. They don't know that we can pay for it. Oh my gosh. You're gonna go up?
That's where you will get a better view.
Yeah. So that's how it looked like down here. Yeah. Yeah. Maglalakad pala. Kala ko may elevator. What the heck? Alright folks. So punta kami dito sa Boston Harbor, Boston cruises, river cruises. So let's find out. So that is how it looked like around here, right there, and then the front. We can check the front. Oh, ayan oh. Mga Pilipino pa yung nasa harap, narinig ko. Hello po.
Hi po.
Hello, saan po kayo?
Sa Maryland po sila. Ako sa California.
Saan kayo sa California? Oh, kami naman sa Minnesota.
Oh.
Nag-fly kayo rito?
Opo.
Oh. Ayos, enjoy po.
Ayun po.
Wala mag-isa?
Oh, 4 kami.
Okay.
O, 5 pala. May 4 pa kami kasama, I mean. Oo. Taga Maryland and California. Ate, parang hindi ka nagpupunta ng California. Let's go around. Very pretty. Let's try this back part. Ooh, is that river cruise? O, yung mga girls aakyat sa taas. So let's try at the top. Ooh, yay! Meron pa pala sa taas eh. Dito na lang ako sa taas. Oh, ang init nga lang.
Mag-isa lang yung
This is Boston, Massachusetts. Where's the girls? Oh, nasa harap sila. What's up, Doc? This is Boston. You and your duck.
As folks continue to settle in, I just have a few pre-departure announcements. Firstly, just to make sure everyone is on the right boat today, this is the 10 o'clock historic sightseeing cruise, a 90-minute cruise around the entire Boston Harbor where we'll be seeing sights of various historic interest. What we will not be seeing today, however, are whales. This is not the whale watch, if that's what you're looking for. That is currently boarding across the way. Nor is this a ferry to any particular location, such as Provincetown, Salem, Charlestown. And if you're looking for a high-speed thrill ride, this is definitely not your boat. That would be Codzilla, which is 2 boats ahead of us. But if you are here for the 90-minute historic sightseeing cruise, then congratulations. You are on the right vessel. Next is our mask policy. The policy is that if you're in the open-air outer decks, you can choose to take your mask off if you wish. Please keep your mask handy, however, if you decide to make your way through the enclosed areas of the boat today, say if you're visiting our bar and galley or our washrooms, both of which are down on the first deck, same level that you entered from. If you sit in the enclosed areas, masks will be required in there. The only exception to this is if you're actively eating or drinking. But when not active in the enclosed areas of the boat, masks must be worn. Now, while we'll be having sights off all sides of the boat today, most of the items of interest I'm going to be talking about will be best viewed from what we call the starboard side of the vessel, the side currently facing Long Wharf, the very side that you entered from. Folks may have already noticed that the majority of your chairs are already facing off in that direction for your convenience. Wherever you decide to sit today, I strongly recommend keeping your focus primarily off the starboard side, lest I direct you otherwise. Thank you folks for joining us on a beautiful morning out here in the harbor. We'll be getting underway in just a minute or two. My name is Kevin. I'm going to be your narrator on this 90-minute historic sightseeing cruise. As we prepare to disembark, just a few more quick announcements. Next, the Frederick L. Nolan is a Coast Guard certified vessel, which means we have enough life jackets on board for each and every one of you. These to be used only in the very unlikely case of an emergency, which if this were to occur, we simply ask you to follow the instructions of our captain and crew. There is no running aboard this vessel. At the dock, anyway. And always be mindful whenever using the stairwells, especially when the boat is docking and departing. Throughout the tour, you may feel free to move about the vessel as you wish. We just ask you to always be mindful of your footing as you do so, especially as we make our way towards the outer harbor. While we expect the waters we'll be traveling through today to be relatively calm, from time to time we may pass by other vessels which can throw boat wakes and cause our vessel to rock back and forth slightly. During times like that, remember, handrails are your friends. There is no smoking aboard this vessel, which includes any form of vape or electronic cigarette, so please and thank you. And if you're in need of washrooms or the services of our bar and galley, you will find both of those down on the first deck, same level that you entered from. And I noticed we had just a couple more folks come on. Welcome aboard to you. Just in case you missed it, I'd like to reiterate the mask policy. On the open-air outer decks, you can have your mask off if you wish, but please keep your mask handy if you decide to make your way through the enclosed areas of the boat, if you're visiting our bar and galley or the washrooms. And if you decide to sit inside, masks will be required in there unless you're actively eating or drinking. Thank you for your cooperation and understanding with this, folks. We'll be getting off in just a moment, and I believe it might be going before the whale watch, but
whale watching. That's awesome. Mag-whale watching sila. Tayo city tours. Historical tour.
Alright folks, we're getting underway. Captain's going to sound the horn, so just brace yourself for that.
What the heck?
Thank you, Captain. Just going to wait till we're clear of these vessels behind us, and we'll get started with this tour.
Kala ko na-stop ko, hindi pala nakuha pa yung aking pagkagulat-gulat.
folks. Let's get started by familiarizing you with a few nautical terms I'll be using during this tour. The front of the boat, currently facing the city, is the bow. The rear of the boat, which is backing out into the harbor, is the stern. When facing the bow, everything off your right-hand side will be the starboard side, and thusly, everything off the left-hand side will be the port side. Right and left can change with whatever direction you're facing, but since they're based off the bow, starboard and port always remain the same. So don't say I never taught you anything. Let's begin with where we just departed from. Here on our starboard side is the very end of Long Wharf. Long Wharf is the oldest wharf in continuous use in America, built in 1710 and named Long Wharf because it is very long. How long, you may ask? Well, at its inception, Long Wharf projected some 2,000 feet off the original shoreline. But please note there that I used the term original shoreline. That's because much of modern-day Boston, about 75% of it in fact, sits atop man-made land. That's right, 3/4 of the city that you're seeing all around us today is standing atop man-made land. It was also on Long Wharf that the first British soldiers arrived to begin the occupation of the city, and it'd be from Long Wharf that those same soldiers, along with Crown officials and Tory loyalists, would flee the city forever on March 17, 1776, a day that's still celebrated here in Boston as Evacuation Day, but is more commonly known around the country as St. Patrick's Day. But whatever name you decide to give the holiday, you can rest assured many a celebratory libation will be drunk before the day is out. Boston was founded in 1630 on what is known as the Charlotte Peninsula, which in Algonquin roughly translates to living waters. And ever since the city's founding, Bostonians have garnered well, let's just call it reputation of being a rather rowdy and rebellious lot. A fair reputation in most respects. But it was one particular incident of Bostonian rowdiness that would go on to reshape the very course of American history. So it's with this in mind, I'd like to draw folks' attention again off our starboard side, past all these moored sailing vessels. We'll see just beyond them a rusty iron brown bridge, the Northern Avenue Bridge, which is a turnstile bridge stuck in the open position. And beyond this bridge is the former site of Griffin's Wharf, where on a cold December night in 1773, the Sons of Liberty, loosely disguised as Native Americans, stormed down Griffin's Wharf and boarded 3 merchant vessels, the Eleanor, the Beaver, and the Dartmouth, and with the rallying cry of no taxation without representation, dumped 330 crates of East India tea into Boston Harbor. They were doing this as a protest against the taxes that were being levied against the colonies by the British Crown, despite the fact that the colonials did not have a voice of representation in the British Parliament. This protest would come to be known as the Boston Tea Party, a party that would cost the Crown somewhere in the realm of $1.5 and $2 million by today's standards. King George would respond to this act, which he considered an act of treason, by sending 5,000 British troops to occupy the city, as well as a fleet of battleships to blockade Boston Harbor, cutting off her vital trade. He meant to make an example of Boston to the rest of the colonies, but these efforts would largely go to backfire on him, and they in turn would set off a series of events that would ultimately lead to the American Revolution, and from there, the formation of the United States of America.